Hello friends, my name is AJ and welcome to the 10th video of Carolina Analytics and Data Science's Introduction to Python for Data Science series. In this video, we're going to work a little bit more in depth with data frames, which we talked about in the last video. So without further ado, let's get started. Alright everyone, so again I'm in a Jupyter notebook here. Now the first thing that we need to do in order to work with anything relating to data frames or the Pandas package is, well, we need to import the package. So I can do that by typing import pandas as PD, just like we did in the previous video. And I'm going to run that over here. And you can see that once it turns to a 1, it means that we have imported pandas. And now from here, we can actually work with our data. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm actually going to import the same CSV file that we imported in the previous video, which was the airports data. So I'm going to type in airport_df, and I'm going to set this equal to pd.readCSV. And we covered the read CSV also in the previous video. Again, this takes data in the CSV file and turns it into a data frame for us to use. And then inside of here, inside of the parentheses, I can put the name of the CSV file, which in this case is airports.csv. And here I can say airportdf.head to get the first 5 rows of our data frame. And you can see right here that our data imports perfectly just like it did in the previous video. Now, the first thing that we're going to be talking about is, because in this video, we're going to be kind of taking our data frame, kind of manipulating it in different ways, and kind of being able to take data out, put data in, etc. So the first thing that we're going to be doing is selecting a column, taking a column out of our data frame. And so the first thing we're going to be doing here is we're going to simply select column based on the column name, okay? And so to do that, we can take our airport df, and we can actually do the same notation that we use with dictionaries. We can use a open and close a square bracket, and then put in the name of the column. So let's say I want to get out the airport column. I can do so. I can type in airport. And if I run that, you can see that it actually gives me it gives me all of the rows from our airport column. Now, this is a bit different because it doesn't look like a data frame, right? Here, we actually were able to see a data frame. This just seems like a list of items. And what this actually is when we select a column based on the column name, so based on column name, then this is going to output a series. And now a series, you can think of it for now as almost like a one-dimensional data frame, in the sense that it's just data that is, think of it like a list, right? Where it's just a bunch of data points with the same type. And it has an index here, so it has index 0 to 249. And you can see here that it has a name as well. So series are very useful to, for example, add columns and rows to our data set if we want to. And also to take out certain columns and being able to modify them later. Now, this is selecting a column and putting it in a series. But what if we wanted to select a column and keep the entire thing as a data frame? Well, we can do that. So this is going to be select one column as a data frame. And we can do that by actually taking the same code that we have up here, and then simply adding another set of square brackets. Now, you might be wondering, well, why does this work? This looks really strange. And you can see if I run this, it gives me now a data frame with our single column. And basically what this is it's taking a list here rather than a single item. If we put in a single item, it's going to give us a series. But if we put in a list, then it's assuming that there might be multiple values, so it's creating a data frame. Because remember, a series is one-dimensional, but if we're taking multiple columns, then it's going to be two-dimensional. So for example, I can take airport here, and I can also take location, just like that, and it will select both columns for me. So this is a way to basically select columns if you want to take a data set, such as this one, or a data frame, and say, okay, I only want to look at these two columns. Well, I can take it out just like this. So having two sets of square brackets, and inside the first set is basically a list of our column names that are, or the column names for the columns that we want to actually take out. All right. Now, this is about selecting columns, but we can also select rows. And there's a function that we can use to actually select rows for us. Now, there are two different ways to select rows. We can first select rows, so select row by index. And for this, we can use the iloc function. So I can say airport df.iloc. Now, usually when we use functions, we use we use parentheses. However, in this case, we actually need to use square brackets again. I know, it seems a little weird. But here, if I were to take iloc and then square brackets, and then I put 0, and I run this, you will see that now it gives me the first row. Instead of over here, which gave me a column, this is actually giving me a row. We have rank 1, airport, we have location, we have country, we have the code, we have passengers, and then we have the year. And so this is really useful to select our rows based on index values, right? I can select 40, and it gives me another airport in China. I can select 3, and this one is the Dallas-Fort Worth in the US. So I'll go back and say 0. Now, we selected based on based on an index, but what if we want to select rows? So select rows by a condition. Okay, so this is basically like filtering our data. And to do this, we can still use loc. Instead of iloc, we just use the base loc here. So I can say airport df.loc, and then in here we have our square brackets. Now, how do I actually filter our data here? Like, how do I select rows by a condition? Well, let's say I only want to select the airports in the United States. Well, you might say, okay, well, I can just say, United States here, but this isn't actually the way that it's done. And even saying something like airports here, like, country, I think. Country equals United States, or country : United States. None of this is the way to do it. Actually, how we have to do it here is we need to actually type in airport df again, and then we have to have our square bracket, put in airport, country, and then using our comparison operator, we can say equals, and then we can type in United States. Okay, so this looks probably quite confusing because we're using airport _ df in two places here in the same line of code. And basically what this is doing is this is selecting the actual column that we want to filter by, and then this here is selecting what we want to, or what this is supposed to match. Now you can actually put in any condition here. So if you wanted to say where, if this starts with United States, or if this starts with U, or if it's a number, I can filter it if it's greater than 50, lower than 20. I could do all those different filtering using the same conditional operators learned in the 5th video when we talked about if statements and Boolean expressions. So that's why this stuff is very, very useful, because all the stuff that we learned in the previous videos, even if we do not use an if statement in this video specifically, there might be certain things such as our comparison operators which will come back and are very important. So if I were to run my code, you can see now that it gives me all 76 rows out of the 250 of airports that are in the United States. So you can see these are all of our airports over here. Now we can also sort our data frame. So I can sort our data frame, let's say by some sort of numerical numerical column. And if I look at my original data, you can see that we have year, right? We also have rank, but it's already sorted by rank. So let's say I want to sort it based on year, and I could actually even sort it based on passengers. Let's sort it by passengers. Then what I can do is in this case, I'm going to sort by ascending. You can both sort ascending and descending, and I'm going to show you that. So descending. So how we do this is we have to say airport airport df dot sorted values. Okay, dot sorted underscore values. So we're learning another function here, or another method of our data frame. And now in here, in our parentheses, we can actually put just simply the column name. So in this case, I want to search, or I want to sort by passengers. I can do that. And also, sorry, sorted values is not correct. It's sort values. All right. And then if I were to run it, you can see now that my passengers are sorting. It's sorting in ascending order, meaning that the smallest value for passengers will be on row 1. And then the greatest will be on the last row. Now I can flip this and sort by descending, meaning that the largest value is row 1. And to do that, I can copy and paste this over here. All right. But then we need to add another argument. And so in this case, the name of the argument, because there are so many arguments in this function, we only want to use a specific one. I can type the name of the argument so that we can specifically set that argument value only. And this one will be ascending. So I want to say ascending equals and then false right over here. And well, if ascending is false, then it will be descending. Descending will be true. So if I run this, you can see now that the number 1 airport over here, or the airport that is in our list, right? This one is actually going to be the most traveled airport out of our list in Atlanta, Georgia. So we have over 100, it says here over 110 million passengers in this year of 2019. So that is really, really surprising. And that's the thing that, when you're looking through your data set and you want to kind of explore it, you might find interesting things which might help guide you in some sort of way when you're trying to analyze it later. So now we have this original data frame, but let's say we want to add a new row. So I want to add a row. Well, to add a row, we need to create a new row. And there are various ways we can do this. I'm actually going to do this using a dictionary again because it's something that we've used before extensively. And what I can do is I can say new row equals, and then I need to have our column names. So I need to have rank, right? And let's say the rank here, I'm just going to put a random number like 101, okay? And then I'm going to put the airport, and what I'm actually going to call this, I'm going to say that this is the UNC airport. There isn't a UNC airport, I'm making one up here. Let's say that the location will be in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. All right. And then here I have country, and country is United States. All right. And actually, because this is getting quite long, I'm actually going to split it up here by line. And you can do this when there is a comma at the last line here. So location, country, and then let's add our next, which is going to be our code. So let's say our code here is UNC/KUNC. Then we have passengers. Let's make up some number for passengers. Let's say there are around, I think there are around 24,000 students in the university, so I can put 24,000. That might be wrong, by the way, but that's just from memory. And then year, we have 2022. So now here I have the data for a new row stored in a dictionary. And actually, I can add this to our data frame using the append function. So I can say airport df dot append new row. All right. And now see, there'll be an error when I run this. You'll see that the error says can only append to dictionary if ignore index equals true. What does this even mean? Well, if you go up here, you see that you actually have indexes on the left-hand side. And here we didn't actually specify what index this should be at. So if we just want to add it to the bottom of our data frame, I can simply make a comma here and then say ignore index equals true. And this will simply ignore the index and just add it on to the end. It essentially does what it says. And now if I were to run this, you will see that it adds our row right here to the bottom row in our table. Now, what I can also do here is I'm actually going to save this as a new data frame. So when we use append here, this isn't actually modifying our original. You actually need to save it now to a new data frame, just like that. So new data frame equals airportdf.append. So airportdf still has our original data without this new row added, and then our new data frame will. So I could say new df, okay, and that does the same thing. It essentially prints out our data. And now the last thing I can do is, well, I can delete a row. So here I have new df. What if I want to delete this row here that we have now at index 250? Well, to do this, I can simply say new df dot drop, just like that. Open close parentheses, and then I can need to put in the index of the row I want to drop. So in this case, I want to drop row 250. So I can put 250. And if I were to run it, you will see now that the row is gone. And the final row here is one in Qatar. So you have here 249, and then here we have 249, and this new 250 row that we created is now gone. All right, everyone, this was a lot of content for this video. And we talked about a lot of stuff and relatively quickly, but this is all of this is very, very important. You'll be doing this anytime you're working with data. You want to import it as data frame. This is really, really useful. So you can see here we imported our data using a CSV file, which we did in the previous video. And then here we learned how to select columns. So we selected columns that outputted as series, and then we selected columns that outputted another data frame. So two different ways to do it, depending on the use case you might have. Then we selected rows by the index, right over here. And then we actually selected rows by some sort of condition, or we filtered our data, right? And along with filtering, we sorted our data. We sorted by ascending and then descending. And then over here, we added a new row to our data frame by using the append function and using another dictionary to represent our row. And then finally, we deleted our row using the drop function. All right, everyone. Thank you for watching. If you liked the video, feel free to like and subscribe for more content. Feel free to follow CADS on social media, as well as join our Listerv for the most up-to-date information on the organization. Thanks for watching, and see you all in the next one.